All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Saturday, March 22nd, and we are day 3 in the books of March Madness, first day of the round of 32 in the second round. Some good games, but man, a little left to be desired, I think. And I think that's just the tournament as a whole. But we will go through and review each and every game up to this point. And take a look at our brackets, which my bracket's on the other side of the room. But I think I have 3 teams. I started the day 0-3 on Sweet 16 games. Now, that was also counting UC San Diego, who lost in the first round. But yeah, it was a rough start to the day. But yeah, we'll go through all the games in order in which they happened, and kind of just give a quick little synopsis of it. This might be our shortest episode. I just don't think that there was, a ton to talk about, Jake. What are your feelings kind of after today?
First of all, Texas baseball beating LSU. I'm just going to throw that out there to start the show. That was, I had that game on my phone. Well, I had all the basketball games on the TV, and I found myself paying more attention to the baseball game at times. But yeah, I mean, I think the number one takeaway, and we've kind of talked about it.
Also, sorry, not to cut you off, but on the topic of baseball and Texas athletics, Texas women first round game against William and Mary at the time of this recording, with 5 minutes and 22 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Texas 92, William and Mary 53. So will advance to the second round of the tournament.
Yeah, you don't see too many upsets in the women's tournament.
It's pretty chalk for more times than not. Anyway,
but
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I think my number one takeaway from this tournament, we talked about this off air, and I think a lot of people will be thinking the same thing, is just no one knows how to execute in the final minute of the game when they're losing, or how to get a shot off in the final seconds, especially.
Yeah, it's really the last shot. It's the final seconds of the game. It's the final possession to either win the game or take it into overtime. If it's a one possession game, it's happened throughout all 3 of the days of it's just kind of lead up, and then that final possession is just falls completely flat, where the team doesn't even get a shot off. And if it is a shot, it's just an air ball, chuck it up, and just, hope and a prayer, long shot of an opportunity. And it has fallen short every single time. We've yet to get a single buzzer beater to win or send it into overtime this entire tournament.
Yeah. And hopefully that means the basketball gods are just preparing us for the craziest Sunday in tournament history. That's basically my biggest hope right now.
Or Sweet 16 Elite 8 round will be electric, or, I don't know.
Yeah. And I've still had fun. It's still March Madness. I've still enjoyed the tournament. I think today was the biggest disappointment, though, just because I thought a lot of these games were really good for a little while and then just crumbled in the last 10 minutes and didn't end up being close. Michigan A&M was close for a while. Creighton, Auburn, and then just one team took control and there was no drama in the last 10 to 15 minutes. And I thought we were going to get it. My expectations were for there to be a little bit more. My bracket is completely fucked. I don't know how else to put that into words. Today killed my bracket, and just the start of the day kind of set the tone for me to be in a bad mood. Still not feeling well, and then McNeese just never came close. And then St. John's losing to Arkansas was just a very bad start to the day for me.
Yeah, and but yeah, there was during, I believe, the Purdue McNeese game around halftime, maybe a little bit beforehand, when that game was essentially in hand from the get-go. I turned on the season finale of Severance and said, you know what, I'm going to start the day this way, because that Purdue McNeese game was not very exciting. Arkansas St. John's got exciting to a point, and then it was a very well played game. But yeah, that was kind of the highlight for me, honestly, Jake, was the Severance season finale. And if you haven't watched the show, please do. There will be no spoilers on this show. I won't give anything away, but 10 out of 10, highly recommend. But yeah, let's go ahead, just dive into it. Purdue McNeese, obviously, I just said I watched Severance during this game. But Purdue, I waited until Purdue basically had this game in hand, and it never felt in any way, shape, or form that McNeese really had a true chance to win this game. It felt as though Will Wade was on his way to NC State, signed the contract immediately after the game, 6-year deal. Yeah, it just kind of, I don't know. It just seemed like they were up for Clemson. They didn't seem up for Purdue.
Yeah, just Purdue came out and got a big lead, and then it just kind of stayed in that range the whole game. McNeese just was never able to get a big push to make Purdue sweat it at all. And it was just kind of a letdown. I mean, the game was never competitive. I didn't even watch most of the second half. I just kind of kept track of the score. I would have turned it on if McNeese made any type of run. And just kind of, I'd watched Severance last night, and I just kind of waited for you to call me after watching it, and just watched some like YouTube, and I think I took a nap as well. And then went into the St. John game, which was a good game. But yeah, the McNeese game was, I don't think there's much to talk about there other than just being kind of disappointed that the one tournament darling we had just sputtered out as quickly as they did.
Yeah. But then you get a double-digit seed beating a 2 seed. 2 seed did go down today. St. John's losing to Arkansas. I think the coaching matchup between Pitino and Calipari. Calipari back officially?
Yeah, this is not the 2 seed I wanted to lose. This wasn't the upset I wanted. Also, it being Arkansas makes it feel shallow.
Well, I think I don't know about well, I guess Arkansas has had a pretty decent they've had a decent program over the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years or so. But the fact that it's Calipari, I think beating Pitino takes away from the upset feel. Because you knew that this Arkansas team was going to be well coached, knowing how to play in the tournament. Talk about an old school style game, though. This kind of reminded me of a 90s, even maybe an 80s style game where jump shooting and just jump shots were just kind of meh, not really all that great.
Bad. Bad.
It was bad for St. John's. But backs to the basket, bodies diving all over the floor, very physical defense. By the way, wanted to mention, suits on the sideline should have never gone away. I love a coach in a suit on the sideline, and then you've got two of the best dressed coaches between Calipari and Pitino out there on the sidelines. That should be a mainstay throughout the whole regular season, postseason, everything. I want my coaches in suits from now on.
Yeah. Also in this game, I felt like the refs asserted themselves too much at times in this
A lot
game.
of games today.
A lot of games today, refs have asserted themselves. And I'm not saying towards one team or the other. I'm just saying in general. This time, at this point, I really have no dog in the fight anymore, other than, I guess, Michigan State to salvage what is left of the ruins of my bracket. I mean, I haven't even
like the BYU team. I could jump on
yeah,
BYU.
but they still messed up my bracket more. I'm just talking about when it comes to like rooting interest. And I mean, BYU's not. The thing is, there's an end date on their run. Is even if they take down in Alabama, their
Duke.
Run ends against Duke. They're not beating Duke. They're just they are the worst version of Duke. I mean, bunch of white boys who can shoot and are not as freakish as Duke.
Yeah, they're good athletes, but not great athletes like they are at Duke.
But great shooting. And I mean, that's kind of today. I thought we had a lot of high scoring games as well.
Yeah. But yeah, Arkansas St. John's was a fun one. It was a very well played game, but St. John's would make a comeback. They'd cut it down to about 3, and then Arkansas would respond with a 6-point run of their own and kind of get it back up to about 9, and it would just kind of stay within that range really all game long. So kudos to Calipari's Arkansas team.
Real quick. Arkansas shot 10.5% from 3-point land. They were the better 3-point shooting team in this game
Oh,
because St.
God.
John shot 9.1% from 3 and 28% from the field.
Jake,
Arkansas shot 43% of the field. So the fact St. John had a chance is a miracle.
What did you send me the other day? It was some kind of meme about it was the Oppenheimer scene where he's like the paradox of it being worse is better for whatever it just works in March Madness. They're like, so the performance in the in college is worse than the NBA, but you like watching March Madness better than the NBA. Yeah, it's the paradox makes it make sense of worse basketball is better basketball whenever it's two less skilled teams playing against each other for something really big or something along those lines. But yeah, it just makes sense in my brain of why I like March Madness so much more than I like watching anything the NBA does. Michigan, Texas A&M, another good game. Texas A&M, Aggies are going to Aggie, they are the master class of choke jobs, of having a lead, looking like they're in full control of a game, and then just letting it slip through their fingers and losing in hilarious fashion.
They gave up 56 points in the second half.
They
lost. They
bad.
scored 40 in the second half. That's really good.
Yeah.
In college,
Right.
40 and a half is
yeah. I mean,
any coach will take that.
You're on your way to 80, and 80 typically gives you a good chance to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, averaging in this mid 70s is like the majority of teams, like good offensive teams average in the mid 70s. And A&M lost that half by 16 while scoring 40. That's just unbelievable.
Yeah. And they lost by 12.
But yeah, just funny that, their best basketball player ever, who was a free throw merchant, and Will Wade and Wade Taylor. I botched that, but Wade Taylor, and then just this being the team that was supposed to be like their best team of all time, which it still might be. I mean, the furthest they've ever made it as a program is Sweet 16. Yeah. So one round further than this. But
I would call AC Law's Sweet 16 team.
That's probably the best team, and this is probably the second best team. But it's just funny. I'd bet Michigan money line in this game, and I never was too worried. I just felt like they were going to make a push at some point because even though my day had started bad, I knew that A&M cannot defy the laws of A&M.
Correct. They completely proved all of anybody who hates on A&M as a program like we do was proven exactly right. As an athletic program, not as a basketball program or anything along those lines, as a straight up athletic program, they do the same thing in every sport, and it is actually hilarious to me. But yeah,
they just finished getting swept again in baseball. By the way, they're 0-6 in SEC play.
Yeah, that's
they're under 500.
Yeah,
they're under 500 after starting the year number 1. Sorry,
and Texas gets a win at LSU, so that's always
it was in Austin.
In Austin against the number 2 team.
Number 2 LSU.
Drake, Texas Tech, another one, Jake, where this kind of like, okay, this whole day just kind of gave us blue balls, in my opinion, of just like, we almost had a great like comeback, or we almost had a great, game in terms of at the buzzer, and then one team just doesn't really know how to close, or another team closes better than them, and then within the last 2 minutes, it ends up being a 9-8 point game, and then they kind of hold on to that lead, and nothing really comes out of it, or we get a final second opportunity where a team doesn't even get a shot off or a decent look off. But yeah, this was another one. Drake, Texas Tech. I thought Drake was going to kind of flirt with making a little bit of make it a game, but Tech always had a response, always had an answer. And I think what Tech did really well, that Missouri wasn't able to do against Drake, was that Tech was able to control the tempo and the pace of this game to what they wanted it to be. And they made Drake speed their game up, and Drake doesn't want to play a fast game, but Texas Tech wants to run the court, and that's exactly what happened.
Also, Tech just played like a different basketball team than they played in the first round or the other game. They didn't shoot 63s. If you would have told me they were going to shoot 14% from 3, I would have said, oh yeah, Drake wins this game. they shot 14% from three, but they only shot 14 threes. Drake shot more threes, was 17. Did shoot 47% from threes for Drake, but 50 points in the paint for Texas Tech to 20. Could not have been a more opposite of what they've been in the first round, but then at least in the Big 12 tournament, I didn't watch a ton of Tech games, but all the games I looked at their box scores, they were shooting 30 plus 3-pointers. And then this game just decided to do nothing but score in the paint.
They dominated the paint very early on. They dominated the paint.
And Drake never, I mean, they threatened a couple times slightly, but then Tech had an answer right back each time. It was another just one of those games where, like you said, it just kind of built you up and then just let you down.
Yeah. Williams had a really good game for Texas Tech. Toppin, another good game for those two guys. Toppin had a double-double with 25 points, 12 rebounds. But yeah, it was just kind of, again, one of those games. Sturts, your boy Sturts, had 21 points for Drake, but too little, too late for the Bulldogs, and their season comes to a close before reaching the Sweet 16. Moving on to Creighton Auburn. Again, another game where it felt like Creighton was somewhat in this game, and then it was more so around like the 8-minute mark where Auburn just kind of took over and looked like the number one team, and their defense, that was Auburn's defense. Between Auburn and Houston's defense today against Gonzaga and Creighton, the two best defensive looking teams, in my opinion, or at least defensive performances up to this point in the tournament.
Tennessee as well. Right now, they're,
what Tennessee is currently doing with UCLA.
Tennessee's up 61-42 when we're recording right now. Last game of the day, Tennessee's looked really impressive in this tournament so far.
Yeah.
Probably one of the Final Four picks I'm feeling pretty decent about so far. But
yeah, I mean, they have to get through Houston, Tennessee. If they can make it to the Elite Eight, that is going to be one hell of a basketball game. Really looking forward to that.
I hope that's the matchup out of that bracket, just because I think it would be such a fun game.
Jake, I'm hoping for just really good Elite Eight, Sweet 16 games. That's kind of where I'm at now. I'm just looking forward to the best teams advancing, and so maybe some of those best teams will make some of these really good games in the Elite Eight, Final Four, Sweet 16 games that much better.
Yeah, I think there's hope for tomorrow, but yeah, this Auburn Creighton was up at half, and you're like,
yeah.
And then Auburn came out, went on a run immediately to start the half, went up by like 7. Creighton kept fighting. I mean, Creighton did play hard and did everything they could, but Auburn just, the light switch clicked on for them in that second half.
And Broome and the size advantage of Auburn just really made life difficult for Creighton. And they're like, oh, wait, we're bigger and stronger than you? Oh, well, yeah, we'll just put the clamps on you defensively, and then we'll pound it down low and get easy buckets. That's basically all they did.
11 offensive rebounds for Auburn, 4 for Creighton.
Yeah,
that's pretty much your ball game. 42 points in the paint for Auburn, 24 for Creighton. That is your ball game.
Yeah. Best offensive performance today, BYU over Wisconsin. So I was watching Baker for BYU early in this game. He got ejected for hitting someone in the nuts, and rightfully so. Pulled a the old Duke player that everybody hated. Why can't I think of his name?
Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen. Thank you. Pulled a Grayson Allen and got double teamed in the corner. Went down low, elbowed a player in the nuts, got ejected. But before he did that, Jake, I sent you a text in the first half, and it was a play where he would just like back. He's driving the lane, and he's backing into the defender with the defender on his back, and he's just backing into him to draw contact and try to put a shot up. And I was like, I don't like this Baker guy. He should play for Duke. He looks like a Duke Blue Devil, that guy, just an unlikable guy. And then later on in the game, he pulls that stunt and kind of proved me right. I was like, all right, cool. I hate this player. Now I can root against somebody moving forward. I don't know if I will root against BYU against Alabama. I'll probably be rooting for my rooting interest will be for BYU against Alabama more than likely. But I mean, God, what a shooting performance from BYU. I was completely impressed with them. And then, of course, you get John Tonji for Wisconsin, just absolutely popping off with 37 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Probably the best individual performance that we've seen from the tournament so far.
Yeah, probably.
I'd have to say so.
Yeah, I would say so, which BYU was one of the best shooting teams in the nation during the regular season. And really, when you go look at their schedule, why are they again, we kind of talked about how the seeding was wonky in this tournament with some teams. And for a team out of the Big 12 that's now 26-9 to be a 6 seed, that ended the year on, I think they were like 11-1 or 10-1 and had wins, 2 wins over Iowa State,
Yep.
win over KU, win over Arizona, win over Baylor. I mean, just really, they just almost all their losses came and to open Big 12 play. They lost their first 3 Big 12 games, and then after that, they only lost, I think, 3 more games total. A weird 6 seed. And if you're a Wisconsin fan, you got to be a little frustrated that you end up playing that team in the second round and who puts on that type of shooting performance. BYU, if it is BYU Alabama, that game, I don't care if the over is 255 points. I'm betting it.
Oh,
that's a game you ride the over.
Jake, that game we might, if like you said, if it's Alabama, very likely that both teams score 100 points in regulation.
It would not. I mean, Alabama's capable of doing it, and Alabama's definitely capable of giving it up. And if as long as BYU's just not missing open shots, which is not something they've done this year in general, that has a chance to be maybe the highest scoring game in March Madness history.
I don't give St. Mary's a very high chance of winning.
I actually hope it's Alabama, BYU, just because it would be fun.
The exciting game that it will become between BYU and Alabama, I will take that over at St. Mary's BYU game any day of the week. So, but yeah, I was very impressed with BYU. This was the first time I'd actually gotten to see BYU for a full stretch. I watched this game more than I probably watched any of the other games in terms of like viewer time. I was just kind of more so, keeping an eye on this game more than any of the other ones. Maybe Texas Tech Drake. I watched a lot of that one. And then I watched the tail end of Gonzaga Houston because BYU Wisconsin was almost on at the exact same time as Gonzaga Houston. And it's pronounced Gonzaga, Jake. Some people call me Kevin. My name's Kelvin, not Kevin. It's Gonzaga, not Gonzaga. Just so we're clear. Did you see the press conference from the Houston coach, Kelvin Sampson?
I caught part of it, but I didn't catch that.
So a reporter, I don't know if it was like a Houston reporter or if it was just a national reporter. He asked Calvin Sampson, so, what do you think about Gonzaga? And he goes, first of all, it's Gonzaga. And he went on this whole rant about it being Gonzaga and getting the names
He's
right.
always cranky.
Yeah,
I've never seen that dude happy.
He is always. He's a cranky old man. He's a cranky old man. Anyway, but yeah, Houston Gonzaga. A weird look. Number 8 for Houston. I think his name was Wilson, if I remember correctly.
Wilson. Sorry.
Yes, Malik Wilson. What's up with the sleeves, dude? Go all the way down, pull them all the way up, but like the elbow quarter, like 3/4 length baseball look. It's not a good look on the basketball court. Negative aura, and I thought that would have been the reason why Gonzaga ended up winning this game. But I thought Gonzaga gave it the old college try. Ike, whatever, however you pronounce his name, the big man for the Zags, 27 points, had 5 rebounds. But yeah, he played a really good game, and he was a handful offensively for Houston. And I think a player like that is exactly the player that you need to get past a Houston team that has a lot of size, a lot of strength, and a lot of athleticism.
Yeah, LJ Cryer also up for maybe a performance. Yeah, performance of the tournament so far with his 30 points. Had a few assists to go along with it as well. Only 1 turnover on the game. I mean, he just had a really solid game. But yeah, I mean, Gonzaga they kind of just stayed within 10 the whole game. They just kept it between that 8 to 13 range.
They never led. I don't think they led a single second of this game.
No, they never did. But the largest lead only got up to 14.
Yeah.
Even though it felt like Houston, they got a 10-point lead right at the start of the game. They just kind of kept it at 8 to like 12 points the whole game. And then all of a sudden, with about 2.5 minutes left, Gonzaga trailed by 10, which is kind of where they had been for most of the game. And then all of a sudden, Gonzaga went on a tear, had a chance to win the game. And again, just like so many other teams that we've seen so far in these first few days, had just nothing drawn up for the final seconds, dribbled into a corner, panicked, had plenty of time left, and just didn't even get up a shot.
Yeah. Really, really bad look for some of those teams. And sorry, I'm looking at my bracket right now. Just kind of putting my eyes on it. But anyway, UCLA and Tennessee right now. Obviously, we are recording early because this game was already over by the time we decided to say, hey, let's go ahead and hit the record button, because we knew that Tennessee was going to win this game. Currently 61-48, 3 minutes remaining. Tennessee's going to advance to the Sweet 16.
Which will only be my fourth team of the day for the Sweet 16.
They will play the winner of Illinois and Kentucky. But yeah, I had Tennessee, I had McNeese, I had Houston going on, had Wisconsin. It was bad. It wasn't a great day.
How many Sweet 16 teams do you have so far?
Let me see. You talk about something.
So I have Tennessee, I have Auburn, I have Houston, and I have Michigan. I have 4 Sweet 16 teams so far. I do not have any that are not in tomorrow. Like I had lost no Sweet 16 teams going into today, which makes it all the more impressive that I did that poorly. But not a great date. Luckily, I actually didn't gamble too much today. I felt like crap last night, and I woke up when the game started. So I just didn't get in many bets. But there was what
I have 6 still currently in, and I have 4 that are definitely out. But I've got 6 that are in. Like
that made it today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I went 4 of 8 today because
because I counted. So I've got 6 that can make it because I counted. Well, never mind. I think I did that wrong.
What do you have that are in? This is not a hard question.
Yeah, sorry. It's late. My brain is fried. I've watched a lot of basketball, but yeah, I got Auburn in. I've got Texas Tech in. I've got Tennessee in. I've got Houston in, and that's it.
So 4.
Yeah.
Not a great look from the podcast.
No, not right now, but still can have a good day tomorrow. Iowa State, Michigan State, both of those can still win. Maryland, Florida can still win. Illinois can still make it, and Bama can still make it. Oregon and Duke can still make it as well. So I can have a decent Sweet 16.
Yeah, which I don't think other than St. John, I don't think I've lost an Elite 8 team now, because my bracket that is on the website does not have Wisconsin in the Elite 8. It has Alabama. And now I've complained about that the whole time. That's the bracket that's there. So that's the bracket that counts.
Yeah, that's the bracket that you have to go with.
That's how that works.
I have all my Elite 8 and I have all my Final 4 still intact. So I'm still potentially doing okay.
I just shouldn't have bought into St. John's. I just wanted it. Every tournament, you got to make that pick that you want more than you think.
Yeah, well, you also have to have a favorite that you can not only root for on TV, you root for it on your bracket. And it's just one of those teams. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're looking right now. Well, Jake, in terms of tomorrow's games, Again, we were excited about the slate of games. I think UConn, Florida to start things off at 11:10. That's the first game of the day. Florida, UConn. Fingers crossed, should be a banger. A lot of these games were good games. I don't want people to think that we didn't think they were good games. The finishes were lackluster. The final 2 to 3 minutes of the game fell short of what was leading up from the beginning and the rest of the game.
Or just a team took a 10-point lead with 3 minutes left and then it was over.
Right. Right. And it never really, yeah. But I think UConn, Florida, going to be a great game. Not particularly thinking that Duke and Baylor is going to be a great game, but Baylor has the scoring potential to at least hang with Duke for at least the first half. Illinois, Kentucky, I don't know. I feel like that's game.
Illinois is the favorite in that game.
Yeah, I feel like that game's just going to be
surprising.
kind of sloppy and ugly. I don't feel like that's going to be a very
Really,
close
I think
game.
that's going to be a high scoring, high tempo game.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
If
know
you
why
get
that's
if
your
you
read on that game
if
after
you get
watching.
if you get the bad side of both of those teams, it's going to be an ugly game because both teams have shown that their ugly side throughout the season. St. Mary, Alabama, I think is going to be a horrible game. I think Bama's going to run away with that one pretty easily. Maryland, Colorado State, I think Maryland's going to run away with that one. Ole Miss, Iowa State, I think should be a very good game. I'm looking forward to that one. New Mexico, I'm not counting them out against Michigan State. I think Michigan State wins that game, but I'm not counting New Mexico to just lay over and not give them a game. And then Oregon, Arizona, I think is also going to be a very good game. I'm actually going to make Oregon, Arizona, aside from Florida and UConn, maybe game of the day, in my opinion.
I'm trying to think of what I actually think that Illinois Kentucky game could end up being the best game of the day. I think it has a lot of potential. It could also be a complete flop if one side doesn't show up.
Good uniform game.
But yeah, I think that game might end up being the best game of the day. I think Oregon Arizona should be good. I hope we get some close finishes tomorrow. I really hope we get those just because we have not had enough.
I
This
thought
tournament,
today's slate was better than tomorrow's slate. I'll say that much.
which means tomorrow will probably be better.
Which means tomorrow should be really, really good. I just want the finishes to be like has at least get a good look, like at least get a clean look. And if you miss it, you miss it. But man, it's like none of these. It's just ISO basketball. Dribble it out with 15 seconds. Wait till there's 4 seconds left, and you just get manhandled and clamped down, and then you just throw up a wild shot. And that's what it's looked like at the end of the games.
Yeah, and we could still see a few more games go down to the wire. We've had a lot of games that were close throughout, and then one team pulls away in the last, in that 2 to 5 minute range where they just pull away and the game's not even competitive to end. Michigan A&M was actually one of those games. Like you look at the final scores of some of these games, you're like, wow, there's a lot of like 10 to 12 point victories in this tournament. And a lot of those games were actually close games throughout. Kind of the inverse of the Gonzaga Houston game, where that game was 10 to 12 points the whole game, then ended up being one of the best finishes.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a bunch of games that have been the inverse of that, where it's real close back and forth throughout, and then the ending just kind of falls flat.
Yeah. Well, that is day 3 of the March Madness tournament and the first day of the round of 32. We will get our exact all 16 of our Sweet 16 teams in by the end of the day tomorrow. We will come on this podcast and we will talk about it all with you. And we will do the same next week as we lead into the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. And Jake, you had something else to say?
Yeah. Texas LSU rubber match for the series tomorrow, 2 p.m.
Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Ought to be a good one.
Softball walked off today as well on a home run against Auburn.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. They won 7-5 or
I believe it was 7-5. I don't have the score in front of me.
7-6.
No, I think it was 7-5
because it was like a 3-1 shot, I think.
Yeah, and I think it was 5-4.
Yeah,
at the time.
3-1 shot. Yeah.
So yeah, a good day for Texas athletics. The win against LSU was big. That first game kind of felt like a humbling.
Yeah,
it felt like the welcome to the SEC baseball moment, and to come back and win the next game. That was a very close, exciting game throughout. That's huge for this men's baseball program. To guarantee that at worst they're going to walk out of the series 1-2 against the number 2 team in the nation, especially after dropping the UTSA game on Tuesday. This was definitely the biggest win of the season, obviously, but also just considering what had gone on this week, considering what happened in that first game, really big just character game for the team and to kind of show what they're made of.
For sure. All right. Well, that is going to do it for today's episode. And again, we are coming out with immediate reactions, live reactions to each day of March Madness. And Jake, We'll do it again all tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have some good finishes for tomorrow. And then leading into the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 next week should be a fun tournament as we move forward. Well, for Jake Jimerson, I'm Tanner Carlson. You have been listening to your daily fix of all things Texas Longhorns right here on All in Horns, brought to you by Rogue Sports Network. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.